Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and in this video, we are going to be doing a deep dive here on the test server for the Fragment Summon Champion coming up in September 2021 for Raid Shadow Legends. We're going to show you the build I've got for him, dive into the Masteries, the multipliers for the abilities. Is he worth it or not as a Fragment Champion? The full grades in every area of the game. We will cover it all, so let's get into it. Alrighty, and as always, I've got the infographic right there, and you can find it down below in the pinned comment and the video description, where you can pull up some of the basic breakdown of the champion, from the stat priorities up top, to the 12 books required, some optimal sets, and the masteries that you will see in this video, plus the multipliers over there on the far right. One caveat I do got to give you about those multipliers: I did not have them officially data mined. I didn't have access to the official numbers of what they exactly are down to the decimal. So what I did was I spent about an hour just brute force testing and tracking how much he was hitting for and trying to reverse engineer the multipliers as best I could. I think they're fairly accurate, but I can't guarantee that they are accurate down to the decimal, but I did my best to kind of come up with those multipliers over on the right. Those are subject to change as I learn what they are exactly in the game files after the champion goes live, but I did my best to get them on the test server. But okay, so we've got Roric Wormbane here, and obviously aesthetically looks incredible. Definitely fits the barbarian theme, so that is par for the course. Raid always knocks it out of the park with champion designs for the most part. Obviously, the first thing everybody's gonna think of is Game of Thrones and how this guy is obviously a reminder of the Hound from Game of Thrones. Actually, one of the few shows that I've watched. I'm not a big TV or show guy, but the ones that I have seen fully every episode are Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, and The Walking Dead. So yeah, I did recognize that for sure right away. It's like, oh, okay, that's definitely a throwback, a reflection of the Hound from Game of Thrones. So as we dive into the kit here, let's go over the base stats first. The base HP of 14.5, not very good. He is a damage dealer. He's going to be somebody that hits hard, so he's not going to have a whole lot of toughness in his stats here. The base attack is 1641, is excellent. That's one of the highest in the game. I believe like low 1700s on like Bistafist. Am I right about that? Sorry, I'm kind of thinking through this live here. I believe Bistafist has the highest. Yeah, 1795. I don't think anybody has 1800. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the highest. But Roric definitely has a great base attack here. When you pull it up and you look at the base attack on the bottom right, it is going to be 1641. That's definitely a really good base attack. 969. I think with his base HP being that low, we could have used like 1044 or something on the base defense. So he is going to be a little bit on the squishier side, but that amazing base attack makes up for it. The base speed of 101. Pretty solid. We'd like anytime the base speed's over 100 for a damage dealer. And then the crit rate, normal, and then the crit damage is the bumped up version of 63%. And then he unfortunately does not get any accuracy. It would have been nice to throw him 10 or 20 there, but he does get 30 resistance. So the base stats are not that amazing. Really, the only thing that stands out to me is the base attack being super good at 1641. And that means if his multipliers are decent at all, he's going to do some pretty decent damage if you get him in good attack gear and being able to get some crit damage scaling with that base attack after all the gear. So now let's dive into the kit. We've got an A1. Attack one enemy 2 times. I was going to say I love multi-hitters, but yeah, attack one enemy 2 times. That's great. We like that. Each hit. So each hit, a 40% that we can book up to 50 of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn. That ends up happening a lot because it's a multi-hitter. You'll see times where he, like in the Ice Golem, I can stun both the minions with him. You'll see that in some of the footage that I show you that I accumulated and chopped up to show on the video here. I can stun both the adds on the Ice Golem and do some cool things like that. That is pretty consistent. Each hit will fill the champion's turn meter by 15% if the target is not under the stun after the hit. So that's going to happen each time. So if he doesn't place the stun, he's going to get a 30% turn meter boost. So it's a mechanic to give him some guaranteed value. Even if you're not placing the stun, you're going to get a little bit of turn meter boost to still get some utility out of that ability besides just doing the damage. Then for the A2, we've got attack one enemy and has a 80% that we can book up to 100 chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 75%. That is great. Spider, Fire Knight, all sorts of different boss mechanics, faction wars. The big chance there on a 3-turn cooldown to do a massive turn meter reduction of 75%. And then if it fully depletes the turn meter, which is going to be very common, it's going to happen a lot, also has an 80% chance of placing a stun on all other enemies for 1 turn. That could be amazing in like the spider. You run up, you fully deplete the spider's turn meter, and boom, it's going to stun all of the little spiders. Lots of different fun things you could do here. Faction wars, lots of suppression. I'm noticing here that they, I believe they missed a space, a little bit of a typo there after the placing a stun. There should be a space in between the A and the stun, but oh well, that's going to do it for the A2. Definitely super impactful. Then the A3 is going to be attack 1 enemy again. We'll ignore 50% of the target's defense, and then you have a passive effect. This is super cool. We haven't seen something like this. We'll always use this skill instead of the default skill. Typically, when champions are going to counterattack because of a counterattack buff, they're going to always use their default skill whenever they're not only counterattacking, but there's an ally attack ability like Longbeard, Lonicus, something like that. But he is going to be using the A3 when counterattacking, and the skill cannot be blocked by block active skills. So a hard-hitting ability, they're going to get lots of value when countering attack, using counterattack. Remember, that also happens. There's a couple masteries that do that as well for counterattacking. So it's not only the counterattack buff. Then we get a passive here, immune to stun, and deals 15% more damage to bosses while receiving 15% less damage from them. And a lot of ally speed, just all battle auras coming up lately. We had Mother Sibylle with one of the best auras in the game, 24% all ally speed. And then this guy not far behind, getting the same aura as Duchess, I believe, which is 19% ally speed in all battles. Definitely a great aura. So thoughts in general on the kit in terms of what stands out to me. I love the suppression of the multi-hit stun. It's going to be super consistent on the target you want to pick on. And brings a new mechanic to the game. A mechanic that we haven't seen before. Counterattacking with something different than your default ability. And also going to be able to do AoE stun if you stun the target you're after, while providing an all-battle speed aura and a passive that makes him immune to some stuns and makes him sturdy, taking less damage from bosses and stuff. So yeah, all in all, I think a pretty solid kit with lots of utility in it. But now, let's head on over to the Roric that I have got built here on the account. We'll talk about the booking, the masteries, and the building process. Okay, so here is the Roric that I got put together for the video and for my testing. You will see the Savage and Speed. Anytime we can ignore defense on this guy, Cruel, Lethal, Savage, something like that, he does damage every single ability. And he's also got the A3 that you can bump up and ignore even more defense. You can get that really up there at that 75% increase to the ignoring of the defense. And then every time you counterattack or proc one of those masteries, if you take them, you're going to get even more value out of that set. So ignoring defense, definitely a great mechanic on him to go with. And if you want to see the total stats of the one that I've got built there, over there on the far right, if you just want to copy that to compare it to something that you're putting together, remember, you do need accuracy on him to get those turn meter and stuns to land, because they do not say cannot be resisted or anything like that. So you do need a little bit of accuracy on him. Not a bad idea because of that to get an accuracy banner with a good blend of speed and attack. You're almost always going to want a crit damage amulet. He is a damage dealer, and then you're hoping for at least a roll or two on accuracy. For the ring, really anything that gives you the most stat, but attack rings are nice on him because he's going to have such a great base attack and be critting and doing lots of damage, ignoring defense. So we get a lot of value out of the attack stat. The boots, I could see maybe going attack percent in certain builds or something, as long as you've got the speed to go along with it. But you can see here my boots are getting the speed, the crit rate, just kind of damage dealing stats, attack chest. For the gloves, crit damage are a great choice. Just make sure you can hit the threshold of getting crit rate on the rest of your gear. And then the top ones are pretty similar. We're just looking for damage and crit rate, speed, the usual suspects on a damage dealer. Then for the booking process, we've got 4, 4, and 4 is 12 books required. The books are pretty impactful because you're getting a 10% buff chance on 2 different hits. So you're going to get the benefit of those books on both of the hits that you're doing. Super impactful on the A1. And then we get the buff chance from 80 to 100, which is obviously ridiculously impactful on this massive turn meter depletion. And then we get the cooldown here on the A3 on his hardest hitting, highest damage ability. So the books are impactful. It's unfortunate that it's 12 books. I was hoping it would be in that 8 to 10 range, but hey, we're making progress. It's not 16 book Brackus and it's not 18 book Pixneal. Now, as we dive into the masteries, remember they are down below in the infographic if you would like to pull them up whenever you want to look at them. But a couple cool things to note about Roric is a great T6 mastery is obviously Helm Smasher. It's an amazing mastery. It's one of the best in the game for damage dealers. You're already ignoring a little bit of defense, so we might as well keep stacking this and make him hit super hard with that A3, especially if you could take advantage of things like these two masteries right here, Retribution and Deterrence, to get some extra counterattacks sliding in there to do some damage. But like I said, these are down below in the infographic whenever you want to pull up the ones that I'm using in the video and the ones that I thought were kind of most generally useful on him. Then before we dive into the grades and how I really feel about in terms of my opinions on this guy, I do want to show you some footage so you can see him in action, see the animations, and let's talk about a few different things going on with Roric. So right here, you're going to see the counterattack where he does the A3 that hits super hard. Then right here, what I was talking about, we're going to stun the ad on the left. And then fast forward, we're going to stun the ad on the right. That A1, super reliable debuffing to get some CC stuns. And then right here, you're going to see him counterattack the Golem and do over 100,000 damage because of doing his A3 as the counter instead of the A1. So here you just see kind of a typical, that's what a counterattack's going to look like because of the Valkyrie placing it on there for my testing. And then lots of utility in keeping CC on your opponents. This is obviously an amazing place to showcase that in the Ice Golem. You just stun both of them. And then we get the hard-hitting over 100k. I just wanted to show that twice so you could really get a glimpse in case you missed anything the first time, because that is definitely a cool mechanic on the A3 counterattacking there. Instead of like running up and doing the A1 as the counterattack, he's going to ignore all that defense and crank out those 100k hits in dungeons. Now let's go ahead and pull up the grades right here from my tier list, and we'll go over kind of the things that stand out here. The overall of a 7.9, not too bad. He's not going to be like the best champion in the game or anything, but I think he's definitely pretty solid. The book value of 8, he takes 12, but they're fairly impactful and worth spending because he's a pretty decent champion. Clan Boss, Arena, XP, he's definitely really good for Barbarian Faction Wars. The unfortunate thing is Barbarian is probably one of the 2 or 3 easier ones, so they don't need a whole lot of help compared to some other factions. Obviously, all the faction wars are difficult in their own right for players that are still developing their accounts, but we could use some help in like the Skinwalkers and the Night Rev and stuff like that that are a little bit more challenging than Barbarians, hopefully, but he is definitely amazing in faction wars. And then mostly par for the course in most of the dungeons, but definitely worth noting he is god tier in the Force Keep because he is immune to stun, which the Force Keep boss does, and he's going to be ignoring all that defense, which the Force Keep boss is super high defense. So he's definitely a god tier champion in there, not to mention he's Spirit Affinity, so he's already going to be strong against the Force Keep boss. But do remember, these are subject to change as I kind of get to, remember, I'm trying to get you information as soon as I can. So there is a good possibility that, like the Spider you see there is a 7. There's a possibility we may see some really good Terminator suppression teams come out that he really makes sense in. Like Spider 19 is one of the toughest choke points for players to get past. He's Spirit Affinity and he's got lots of Terminator suppression. So I'm kind of talking myself into it here. I may be able to bump up his Spider rating a little bit because of the suppression he brings against that Spider's Terminator. And then the Fire Knight with the multi-hit A1 and the Terminator suppression is amazing there as well. So that's my initial ratings, but they are subject to change, and definitely let me know down below what you think. I really enjoy getting perspective to help my make my opinions a little bit more accurate as we go. But to wrap up on my final thoughts after testing him, building him, and all that good stuff, is he worth going for in the Fragment Summon? Like, as of recording this, I haven't seen how the events are structured in the game, so if they're realistic, like if it's realistic to go for this guy, I do think he's going to be a fun champion to have. With the CC, the Terminator suppression is going to be great for certain Doom Tower situations and all sorts of things that you're wanting to do. So I do think you should go for him if it's realistic to do so. Do I think he's going to be a top 10 legendary in the game or something? No. One thing I would have liked to see in his kit is maybe add to this passive, like each turn, 20% chance to place a counterattack buff on this champion for 1 turn. Like not guaranteed, but a little bit of a chance to get some value out of the counterattack here from the hard-hitting A3 instead of having to bring counterattack because it's super rare. It's like Valkyrie, Martyr, Skullcrusher. There's not a whole lot of champions that do that. It would have been fun if you had a little bit of self-sustain to do that. Just like, I know you can't make it 100% or anything, but like 20% chance every turn to place a counterattack buff on this champion for 1 turn. I think that would have been super cool, and I don't think it would have like broke him or anything. But okay, that's going to do it for this one. Remember, the infographic is down below if you would like to pull that up and have that at your disposal. And like I said, I would love to hear your thoughts as well. And don't forget to subscribe on your way out, because I am working on lots of graphics like this to help get you as much information for champions you are trying to build as possible. So that is going to do it for this one. As always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.